G'day, just thought we'd have a little tour of these stackable worm farms that I've been playing with over the last couple of years. So I've got three units with some extra trays. I'm using this one for early stages, this one for sort of medium stages, and I'm in the process of sorting a tray here and getting this vermicast out, and I've got a third unit here which are pretty much ready to sort. So the basic setup is a bottom tray that I have modified on the basis of David Murphy's advice to allow more light in. So I've drilled holes in the bottom tray, not too low, so that it still drains out the tap. Not sure why we're getting a little leak out, we must have a crack there, but a nice big bucket underneath to catch the liquid, and we leave this tap open so that liquid comes out. This actually looks like clean water, so it must be condensation dripping down. And the inside of this bottom tray has been painted in a light colour so that it's going to discourage worms from going down into the bottom tray. So let's have a little look inside these. Since it's winter, I've got these facing a brick wall which is on the north side of the house so that they pick up the morning sunshine, and I've been putting some sort of insulation over the top, an old surfboard, and usually some old carpet over the top. That just keeps them a little bit warmer. They're not particularly active when it gets very cold, and they are not they don't breed when it's too hot either. So in summer this carpet also helps to keep it cool. Let's have a look what we've got inside. A little bit more insulation, another part of the surfboard. However, if you pack too many things on top, it's going to limit the oxygen that you need to have in, and things can go anaerobic. Anything that's cardboard or newspaper I use as like a worm blanket, but the nice thing about this stuff is that it breaks down over time. So as we get further down under these layers of cardboard, you'll see that it's in further stages of breakdown, and worms are starting to come through it. Now this is this morning's food scraps that I've put in, lettuce. The more you break things up, the faster it will break down, so sometimes I'll spend more time chopping and or even blending food. However, I have found that a variety of sizes are good. That way some things break down faster and some slower. This is shredded paper. It takes a little while to get going, but once it's been in there a week or two, worms start to come through it. Now this tray's in early stages, so we don't have too many worms up here at the moment. That also probably indicates that there's plenty of food under this tray. So let's lift this up and have a look. So that's the bottom of the top tray, and that's the next tray, and you can see that's breaking down pretty well, and there's still plenty of food in there, which is, whoops, why they haven't really started coming up. Let's just have a little dig. So this is partially broken down. It's well on the way, very well on the way actually. Much warmer under here, but here's some food. Now normally what I would use, sometimes I use my hands, but often I would use a stick actually. Don't use a shovel, that'll cut the worms, but I do find that it helps to kind of move things around every now and again. And so there's not too much that's recognisable here as food, but there's still quite a bit of organic matter that the worms are still working on. Alright, so that tray will still need a bit longer, but it's well on the way. I'll leave that for the moment, and let's have a look at this tray. Now this tray's pretty much done. In fact, it's done enough that we could call this vermicast. And what I'm doing is I'm taking off the top layer, and if you leave it exposed to the light, then the worms will go down into the tray below, and then this is how I'm sorting the vermicast. Alright, and eventually, I'm not too far off, I'll be down to the tray, and those worms should then have gone down into the tray below. Check out the tray below, which is really just the start of a new tray. Now I find that's easier than individually picking out worms, which I do sometimes, and say put them in a separate bucket, and then I would just add those worms as well as any stuff that's not broken down. So there's a couple of sticks in there, and add them to one of the newer trays. Now this, you can see that you can stack actually quite a few more trays than normally come with the stackable trays. Normally when you buy them you get a base tray and then one or two top trays, but there's no reason that these can't take anything up to about 8 or possibly 10. But ergonomics, I think, come into it. This is a nice height to work at for me. For sorting, I'm not bending over or I'm not reaching up too far. So if we have a look at this one that is largely done and really waiting sorting. Still plenty of worms in here, but they come to the surface because and they're breaking down this cardboard because there's probably not a whole lot. Still some material there, organic material. So that could be left longer. That's probably old cow manure, and so that could be left longer yet. Over here I've got a guinea pig cage. So what we're doing is putting the shredded paper in here, letting the guinea pig use it, and then you can see guinea pig put there, and this is wire on the bottom, and you've got paper and guinea pig falling through, and then I'd throw that into the worm farm. When the food waste comes out of the house, rather than put it in the worm farm instantly, I usually just have a bucket out here and we throw food waste into there, and then once a day or once every 2 days it goes into the worm trays. So let's just go and have a look and see what happens with the vermicast. Now there'll always be eggs and the odd worm in your vermicast, which is somewhat unavoidable. Just see if we can find eggs here. There's small yellow, here we go, that, okay, I don't know if we can get focus on it there. That's a worm egg. Now it will remain in that condition until it's either warm enough and there's enough food around for it to break out into usually more than one worm. You can get several worms out of one egg, but I wouldn't be too bothered about a few eggs and a few worms being in there. So once I've got good vermicast, I've been sticking it in a larger drum, black drum, which we're just walking to. Okay, so here's some black drums that I use for storing various garden materials, such as potting mix, sand, etc. So here we have a drum with good moist vermicast. It has some eggs and some worms coming through, but they continue to help break down. When we see a worm like that one, Where's it go? Oh, there's an even tinier one. Yeah, there's a very tiny worm. Now that would have bred out of an egg that was in the vermicast, and it's been stored in here and bred. So there will still be worms, and effectively this is still a worm farm. Something like this is been untouched, which means it's plastic, probably from a bit of cardboard. So I'm going to add these worm castings here. Now, a lot of people just use the liquid, which is called the leachate, which comes out of the worm farm, for liquid fertiliser, and generally that's okay. However, because it's passed through rotting matter, it can also contain pathogens and things that if you put them straight on your vegetables, so if I was spraying it onto the silver beet and then picking it and eating it, I could be ingesting some unpleasantness. However, if you make vermicast tea, which is properly brewed, then it has vastly larger numbers of good bacteria for the soil, and it's much better for the conditioning the soil and creating conditions in the soil which will encourage not just compost worms but earthworms into your soil as well. So to make compost tea, what we do is take say just a handful of vermicast. Let's into a bucket. Let's put in, say, just about that much. Doesn't need to be a lot. You can get more exact quantities off the web. And we're then going to dissolve that in hopefully warmish water. 28 degrees would be ideal. It's a Canberra winter morning, so this won't be particularly warm, but sometimes what I'll do is lay this hose out in the sun and let it warm up and then use it. Now this vermicast will dissolve. You can see it dissolving very readily in the water. Now there's all sorts of bacteria in there that if they receive oxygen and also food in the form of sugar such as molasses, I'm just going to put that there, and we might put this over in the sun. I'm going to add more water later, and I'm going to add a little tiny bit of honey to give them food. I'm not making up a large quantity here. We don't have a lot of plants to feed at the moment, so I'm just going to add a kind of like a dob of honey. Mix that in. Now you can just do it manually by coming out and stirring this constantly to oxygenate the water. So I have a stirring stick, or you can use a aquarium type aerator, connect it up to the power and just let it constantly run. What I'm going to do is lay my hose out here so that I can build this vermicast tea during the day, and I'll come out and I'll add water and stir, you know, once an hour or once every couple of hours, and then I can apply it to the plants during the day. And it's best applied as a spray, so it goes onto the foliage as well as the onto the soil. So that's how to make vermicast tea, which is safer and superior to the leachate that comes straight out of the worm farm. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the little worm farm tour out at Tharwa. See ya.